Welcome. This is not a normal interview. This is information correction. I participated in a social movement known as Calexit in 2016, 2017, 2018. I'm still part of the movement and that it's dear to my heart. I just stepped down as an officer from the official organization of Yes, California, while it was under the control of a man called Louis Marinelli. I don't mind talking about it, but it's not really relevant to the idea of why California needs to be independent, etc. So today is about how Newsweek prints a correction about Marcus Ruiz Evans and Calexit and how they got it wrong. So Newsweek prints correction about me and Calexit. I want to point out that I agree with the headlines, but nothing else. Let me show you here. Let's zoom in, see if we can see that up close. So this is the article, California Secession Movement Wants National Force to Avoid Civil War. It came out on February 5th. I had to contact Newsweek directly and point out to them that there was a lot of misinformation and straight up lies that are easily provable if they had the information is already out in the mainstream. So I don't know why they couldn't do a Google search. I don't know why they didn't do any research on this, but it was obvious with the phone call with the reporter and the way they did the retraction that they had no clue and did no background research before they studied into this. So the article is California Secession Movement Wants National Force to Avoid Civil War. By the way, if you check out the descriptions, you'll see the email that I sent to Newsweek, all the links that I provided for proof of everything that I said, and a link to this article directly. The portion in key there is these three quotes. Meanwhile, Evans told Newsweek via telephone on Monday, today, that he is the real leader of the Calexit movement and Marinelli doesn't represent Calexit. Evans' definition of Calexit also differed from Marinelli's. Calexit was always the idea of all Californians leaving America. Evans said, rather than just a portion of the state seceding. Marinelli told Newsweek that Evans left the movement in 2021, but Evans said Marinelli's statement was false. So the way the article read was that I left the movement. Louis Marinelli represents the Calexit movement. The Calexit movement is about splitting California into two states, a liberal one and a red one. And he has that plan for that. Calexit was never about splitting California up. If you look at the news articles from 2016, 2017, 2018, there's zero discussion of that. It was always about all of California leaving. That's easily verifiable by news, so that's a lie. I never left the movement. I stepped down as president of Yes, California after Louis Marinelli started printing racist statements on our website, took over the thing, and kicked me off. We tried to reach out to Twitter and Facebook. They refused to acknowledge things, acknowledge that even though we had letters from Louis giving us access to the pages and information to Facebook and Twitter that he was wanted by the FBI, that meant absolutely nothing. So Newsweek comes out with this article recently. They purport it as Louis is the leader of Calexit. Calexit is about splitting California into red and blue. And that's mostly the idea. All lies. Now, Calexit was never about splitting California. It was always about splitting off all of California. If you look at any of the articles from 2016 to 2019, that's what they'll talk about. Additionally, there was an effort by Nigel Farage in 2017 to confuse the idea of Calexit, and you'll see a lot of Calexit movement supporters trash him. The Public Policy Institute of California did two surveys when Tim Draper, the billionaire, attempted to split California into 3 states and then 6 states. When they did those surveys for Tim Draper's ballot initiative to split California up into multiple states, they showed that 2/3 of Californians were against splitting up California. So Calexit has never stood for splitting up California. That's easily verifiable by the news. And if you go to the PPI survey, Public Policy Institute of California, and look at the research that they did by Tim Draper's ballot initiative on splitting up the state, you'll find that 2/3 of Californians on 2 different surveys said, hell no, we don't want to split up the state. So there's no truth to that at all. I also want to point out that in the article, they say that Louis was going to try to reach out to the other movements. Louis is disavowed by the entire Calexit movement, and he's not recognized by the secessionists in Texas or New Hampshire. I know the secessionists in New Hampshire and Texas personally. They will have nothing to do with him and will never acknowledge him or his fake Yes California thing. So the moment anybody looks into that, he can't go anywhere because he doesn't have contacts with those people. I do. I've built it over years. They know that I'm lying and they know all about him and they're not fans of him. Louis is, in fact, actively sought after by the FBI. And that's what I had to inform Newsweek today. I've never stepped down as the leader of movement. I've never left Yes California. I never left the movement. I stepped down as an officer of Yes California after Louis took control of the social media channels and started printing racist things. So I never said I left Calexit. I never said I stopped believing. I never said I left Yes California. I never stopped making Calexit videos. None of that is true at all. So, and I have the official Yes California YouTube page. So, and they keep mentioning me. And I was also at the conference with the Texas and New Hampshire secessionist movements as the official representative for the California secession movement. So just want to point out, those were all lies. We got them corrected, and we were able to get Newsweek to print a correction. So if you read the article, it talks a lot about what Louis said, and then there's a section where I discount everything he says. They don't say who's telling the truth. They just insert my comments in there and say I debate with him. If anybody looks into this, they're going to find out that I'm telling the truth and he's not. So this is the article. This was the reporter, Rachel Dobkin. This was the quote in section. This is the reporter there. We contacted her directly. I also want to point out, this isn't the first time that this happened. This reporter, Tad Weber from the Fresno Bee, did the exact same thing, where they printed a lot of misinformation and acted like Louis was the head of the Calexit movement, and they didn't do a Google search on him. If you did a Google search on Louis Marinelli, the phrase sought after by FBI investigation pops up. So this reporter could not be bothered to do a 5-second Google search on Louis and printed it for Newsweek, and they printed it and didn't fact check anything. And then this reporter also could not do a 5-second Google check on Louis, and then they printed everything until I got a hold of both of them. So here's the information I had where I was informing the reporter. My name is Marcus Ruiz Evans. I saw you wrote an article to feature my name. Louis Marinelli sought after by the FBI. I sent you an email and I included the contact to the FBI. And then here's the response from this reporter. The article's been updated. Thank you for sharing your comments. I hope you have a great rest of your day. That's because we had a phone call at 9:41 a.m. this morning after I sent the email for about 15 minutes and 35 seconds, where I explained to her that everything she printed was a lie and wrong. She agreed to print this, but they didn't take anything out of the article. So they didn't say they got anything wrong. They at least put some information in there. I appreciate that. But they didn't interview me, and they didn't do a 5-second Google search. Here's the email that we sent to Newsweek. Are you aware the FBI is actively looking for Louis Marinelli? Newsweek, you sent this article. Are you aware of that? Actively sought after by the FBI, mentioned federal indictment for Russian spying, completely disavowed by the movement. No one will have anything to do with him. And Calexit was never about splitting the state up. Multiple videos we linked to. Also, we put links to Fox News articles, multiple of them saying that I was the leader, not Louis. Also, we put multiple links to articles pointing out that Louis is being sought after by the FBI. And also, we put a link to the Warner Brothers 8-part documentary that shows that Louis is disavowed by the complete movement and has nothing to do with us. So they got all of these links and all of this information on these dates and these times to these people. And they did not say they got it wrong, but at least they printed a retraction or an update saying this, acknowledging that I disagree with everything Louis says. The one thing I agree with, and I think this is pretty great, and this is something we did say, Calexit is the solution to avoiding a civil war. We've always said that. That's completely true. I totally support that. If Louis said that, I guess he's right. We've always said that. We think the civil war is coming, and we think the way to avoid it is to reduce pressure. And the way to do that would be California to leave. So completely agree with the title. We want a national divorce to avoid civil war. Completely correct. Almost everything else is wrong. And it's wildly easy to verify this. And I provided all the links to them to do that. And we informed them at this date and time, and they printed that correction. So thank you for Newsweek for being willing to work with us to print the correction and get the right information out there. And we appreciate it. And we will continue to make sure that everybody gets the story straight, or we will straighten it out for you. Thank you.